This is one of those weird third verse nobody knows songs.
Winter killed our child.
It's that time of year, folks.
It was, in fact, not that time of year. Or maybe it is. I don't know when you're watching this.
The moment of the annual Mariah Carey outbreak and when Los Santos becomes uncharacteristically cold. Time to give thanks and appreciate the people in your life who give it meaning. But what if I don't care about that and instead wanted to play video games?
Because the fucking youth of society...
Well, thankfully, video games are one of the most common gifts to hand out during the holidays, but simply playing games around December isn't really going to put you in the holiday spirit. I mean, I played Manhunt earlier and oh my god. No, if you want to truly encapsulate the essence of the holiday, you're gonna need themed entertainment. When it's Halloween, you watch The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown and Nightmare Before Christmas. On Christmas, Frosty the Snowman and Nightmare Before Christmas. Same principle, but we're looking for interactive media. And surprisingly, for one of the most widely celebrated holidays on the planet, there aren't too many games centered around it, aside from an army of crappy Flash stuff, but I don't want to go there. Yet. However, I did some digging, did one Google search, and found one particular title I think would give me some warm and cozy Christmas vibes when played. So, get your hot cocoa, because today we're going to be playing a Christmas game with a very unfortunate game over screen. Ooh, that! And that game is Die Hard Trilogy on PS1.
That's not a Christmas game.
The movie was originally released in summer, but it took place on Christmas Eve, which makes it a Christmas film.
Okay, I swear that's the last Family Guy joke you're gonna see in this video. Die Hard is the pinnacle of, wait, this is a Christmas movie? So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at one of its video games, because if this many people consider it a Christmas flick, by that same logic, this is also technically one of the few games set during the holiday season. And out of all the Die Hard games that exist, Die Hard Trilogy seemed to be the obvious choice. I mean, it contains 3 games in one package, each an adaptation of one of the original movies. And while I have absolutely no knowledge about the sequels, other than this one clip that went viral recently where Bruce Willis wears a sign with a very bad word on it, what better way to experience these films for the first time than with this? Developed by a smaller team within Probe Entertainment made up of a lot of young, inexperienced talent, and published by Fox Interactive in 1996, Die Hard Trilogy, as I said before, is a compilation of 3 smaller games, each based on one of the 3 Die Hard films. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, are pretty much named to be puns. Die Hard, more like Die Harder, or with vengeance, containing very distinct gameplay styles from one another, which happened to be a very lucrative choice as many gaming publications from around the time praised the wide variety on offer. And talk about praise, Die Hard Trilogy not only sold well over 2 million copies, even earning itself a greatest hits re-release later down the line, it also reviewed surprisingly well. Obviously, back in the 90s, movie tie-in games lacked the stigma we associate with them now, but it's still pretty hard to imagine. I mean, movie games really have to try nowadays to be considered anything more than a let's point and laugh at it kind of game. So as you can expect, it's still pretty surprising to me that what's basically an extended minigame collection would, or rather could be this good. So, I bit the bullet, starting with the first film, Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Die Hard is an arcade-style third-person shooter based on the titular film, and almost immediately I have something to say. Now, I'm sure you've all been watching the footage very closely, so certainly it won't be a surprise when I say this. This game is kinda ugly? Listen, I know that most 5th generation games haven't aged the most gracefully. After all, this was the first time 3D was widely being used by developers. But, I don't know man, even when compared to others, Die Hard stands out. The proportion on the models is all kinds of wrong. Look at John's arm here. This could obviously be an issue with the emulation, but that doesn't look right. And honestly, I think I can pinpoint my major issue with these. It's the faces on the models. Whether it be the duplicated terrorists from the movie, John, or the hostages, all of their faces are sprites, while the rest of the character is made up of a 3D model. Oh, look at the sprite! The contrast is all kinds of off. And sure, some of this can be blamed on the upscaling I'm using. Listen, it it just looks gross, okay? I don't have any real reason to think so. It's just weird. Don't get me wrong though, this game isn't all bad graphically. The environments are all very well done and evoke the spirit of the locations from the source material flawlessly. It's really just those character models that throw me off. Look at his run animation, he looks like a caveman! The gameplay is more or less what you'd expect from an over-the-shoulder shooter. D-pad to move, fire with X, throw grenades with square, jump with triangle, and finally, circle, which I don't think does anything. Movement is alright, not quite where I'd want it to be, but it's more than usable. Though I do feel like it was often hard to gauge where I was aiming. Sometimes I felt like I was looking directly at an enemy, only to be off a little. Oh, you can also dodge with the bumpers, but I didn't really use it that much. Gameplay-wise, we'll be going from level to level, gunning down foes, saving hostages, and collecting items. Most interestingly of all, weapons. You've got your typical choices of assault rifles, which in my experience more or less perform the same, excellent at long ranges and crowd control, but my absolute favorite is hands down the shotgun. And it's not just any old buckshot. Watch this shit, man. Yeah, it's got explosive shells. And even though it's my favorite gun, I will say you should exercise caution when using it. There you live. Oh, that killed me. So, after saving the captives and killing all the enemies, you defuse a bomb and then move on to the next level. Repeat until credits. With maybe the occasional boss fight breaking up the formula a bit. And like any good arcade game, the firefights are very engaging. The weapons pack just the right amount of punch to be satisfying, but we aren't invincible, easily becoming overwhelmed if we run ahead without putting in any thought. Oftentimes, it's better to bait your foes to come to you. That said, it really does start to overstay its welcome towards the end. Overall though, Die Hard is good. I give it a... Woo! He said the thing! He said the thing from the movie! He said the thing! Out of 10.
Supposed to stay in your seats until the plane reaches the terminal.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. So, remember how I mentioned each game here has a drastically different gameplay style? Well, Die Harder, as you can see, is an on-rail shooter.
What? What?
Therefore, you kinda know what to expect. Reaction-based shooting while the camera takes you where you need to go, snagging weapons, health drops, or extra point pickups, all while doing your best to avoid shooting a bystander and failing. Granted, most of the time, it's not even our fault. Look at this! Why would you get out of cover during an attack, only to crouch back down? Funnily enough, sitting right next to one of the fucking gunmen, as they can also pop out from the very same cover. It's like whack-a-mole, but shoot a cunt. And you know what, I know I've been hard on the graphics so far, but this is incredibly impressive for the hardware. When considering the detailed environments and quantity of enemies on screen, plus the multitude of destructible environments, topped off with loads of particle effects, it's really nice looking. Character models are still pretty goofy looking, but at this point I've gotten used to them. Fuck, they look like the tank from Left 4 Dead, dude. What the hell is going on? Plus, now I can exercise my rights as an American citizen up close and personal. On that note, the weapon selection is more or less the same as Die Hard, starting with basic pistol and machine guns and shotguns. Now, the assault rifles and SMGs in particular were my favorites this time around, as boy oh boy, it can get very hectic during certain segments in the game. Although, since it's a light gun game, distance isn't really a factor into the weapon performance, keeping everything viable to a certain degree. And yes, the shotgun still does fire explosive rounds, and it's awesome. There is also a normal variant this time, but I'm pretty sure it still has explosives in it. Now it's time for the downsides. As a light gun game, this was meant to be played with the Konami Hyper Blaster, an accessory for the PS1 that can be pretty hard to find in working condition in this day and age. Fortunately, you can still play the game with the basic DualShock controller, which is unfortunate for me because the aiming reticle is so slow and inaccurate, putting me in bad spots during combat constantly, oftentimes making me gun down civilians. Which I was gonna do, but I want to do it on my own terms. Half of the enjoyment factor comes from physically holding a gun and aiming it at the screen myself. So without it, I don't know man, something is just missing here. And this kinda goes for all light gun games. Also, while impressive, the levels of carnage and destruction cause the frame rate to chug very hard, leading to even more unwanted casualties, and paired with the slow movement of aiming with a controller, it can be fairly frustrating at times. Now, it's not bad by any means, but when paired with the bad frame rate and the fact that, much like the first game, some of these levels really overstay their welcome. Regardless, I give this one a
Supposed to stay in your seats until the plane reaches the terminal.
out of 10. You know, as a content creator, I always try to find the good in the games I cover. Rarely do I ever find a game with absolutely no redeeming qualities. And while Die Hard with a Vengeance is no exception to this, I really had to dig for good things. Or thing, in this case. Because, by far, this is the worst game in the package. Like, without a shadow of a doubt. It could even be the worst racing/car game I have ever played. Oh, right, this is a driving game, by the way. Based on the third film's first act or so from what I can gather, we play as John once again trying to defuse bombs. Although this time we're inside a taxi barreling through New York City in order to crash into them, which apparently disarms them. Which is going to be extra difficult thanks to the awful control and handling of the taxi. Somehow managing to be both too loose and incredibly heavy at the same time. Not exactly the best combination, especially when you're trying to navigate the tight turns and narrow streets of New York fucking City. Which happens to be the only positive I have to say about this particular section of the game. The environment of New York is remarkably well detailed for a PS1 game. It's the little things that really add to the experience for me. Once again, New York is filled with plenty of small destructible objects, and it's great to see. Too bad the collision detection is so atrocious that if you so much as clip into the corner of a street lamp or another car, there is a fairly high chance that you'll be rubber banded back into them and stuck in a jittery mess as the game tries to untangle you from the entity. Seriously, it's bad. Look at this footage. It's ridiculous. Oh, and before someone says anything about the quick turning, I know about it. If you hit the bumpers, your car will snap in that direction. Except, it's very tight, more often than not leading you to spinning around completely and then having to turn normally anyway. That or it'll send you flying into the streets and...
Oh, why were you in the road? Stop, Jay. Oh.
The hell, man? Why is this game so violent? Like, I know, the films are not meant for kids, and I'm not implying they are, or this game is for that matter, but look at it! It's gratuitous and amazing. Probably the only form of entertainment you'll find in this game. So, when you inevitably fail and get a game over, this wonderful scene plays out. Yeah. This came out well before the tragic events, but still, man. Ooh, that's rough. Anyway, this is ass.
Ooh, I know this game came out before September 11th, but ooh, that was bad.
While making this video, I came across an interview with lead programmer Simon Pick, who had this to say about the development of the Die Hard Trilogy. There was no real design. We made it up as we went along. We knew the overall feeling we wanted and the various points we wanted to hit gameplay-wise. We had a design document, but it was written after the fact. We all just wanted to make it as fun as possible. Now, I'm paraphrasing a lot here, but with that context in mind, it does explain a lot of the choices made here. 3 totally separate game styles, all high score based with a relatively short level count, meant to incentivize replayability above all else. And to Simon's credit, the first 2 games were enjoyable, and I even hear that some people like the Taxi one. But you can tell there wasn't a real vision in mind with this product, as all the games, while fun in most examples, are very simple and, after a few playthroughs, not very exciting. Never really spicing up that gameplay other than a set piece or bonus level here or there. That by no means makes this a bad game. I can see why people loved it at the time and still do. The third-person shooting is challenging and very, very engaging. And I'm sure if I had a light gun, the second one would have been a great time. And honestly, there has always been a part of me that admires a game for its jank. It's that honest effort and enthusiasm about a project that earns my respect. And safe to say, Die Hard Trilogy certainly earned it.
Glad that's over. Oh god, there's 4.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and even hit the notification bell if you're feeling spicy. I know it's likely New Year's by the time you're seeing this, so I'm going to date this video forever by taking this pill I got from a stranger to ring in 2025. So happy New Year's and Merry Christmas, everyone.